You're riding a camel, you feel the breeze blowing through your hair, you hear the Arabic music coming out of your tour guide's speakers, and you see the sun setting to your right. Peaceful scenery, isn't it?
Yeah.
See, this isn't a story about how I got on a plane and experienced excursions. This is the story about how I got on a plane and began to experience self-discovery. And it was all thanks to my on-campus involvements. See, coming into college, I knew that I was an undone puzzle. Clearly, I knew that there was a greater picture, but I knew that somehow I had to start shaping the pieces together so that I knew what the heck I was gonna do with my life, because coming into college, let's be real, although some of us have a major, we're still like, I don't know. So I definitely came into college with the idea that I wanted to definitely discover what it was that I was good at, and I wanted to find a passion, you know? So I got involved, and the puzzle pieces started to shape themselves. It all started my freshman year. I went on the Women's Leadership Retreat, and this was definitely the perfect time to do it, because getting involved on campus, you will deal with a lot of different leadership styles. And coming into college, I had that idea that leadership was only one thing. I thought that leadership was a person who got up and took command of a room with a charismatic smile. But at the Women's Leadership Retreat, I learned that that's not the case. There's a lot of different ways of leading. What that taught me about myself was that I came into college with a closed mind. I joined program council, where I was the bean chair. And as bean chair, I was putting on programs for the university. Throughout the events that I had, I'd like to pay attention to my audiences because I wanted to know what they needed out of me. And I saw that, I threw a lot of open mics, and I saw that people like to share poetry. So I was like, how about we put in a poetry slam? It was one of the most successful events, and this was the panel of judges. It was one of the most successful events that I threw. And it was thanks to what I had been learning through the leadership experience. So I definitely learned from this experience that you need to know your audience and you need to know how to get to people. Because if you want to put on programs and you want people to go, it needs to be programs that people are going to like. So that was definitely something that I learned through this experience. And it was very helpful because it was the second puzzle piece that I was starting to see what needed to be of me so that I could be a strong candidate for this university. And that was definitely that I needed to understand others' needs. And that prepared me to be a resident assistant because the next semester, I became a resident assistant. And no, I did not become a resident assistant to write anyone up. I actually became a resident assistant because I loved Bridgewater State University. And I felt like I was a part of it. And I wanted people to also feel like they were part of it. So as an RA, I made it a point to reach out to students, residents, who I felt didn't feel like they were part of the community. So I had a resident, his name was Jason, and he was this guy. He was the guy who always ran to his room. He never socialized with anyone. He was very quiet and to himself. So as an RA, I took it upon myself to reach out to him. I would always text him whenever I had a program. I would ask him how he felt about my bulletin boards. And overall, I just made him feel like he was really included. Within a matter of months, he went from being this guy to that guy. He became the most social guy. I swear, I passed by that SSO desk and he's talking to someone. I swear the kid went 180. I'm not gonna say 360 because that's going back where he started. The guy pulled a 180. He went from being the quiet, timid guy to being the social butterfly who talked to everyone. So for me to be able to see that I was able to do that for someone truly made me see that I was fulfilling some type of direction and purpose here at Bridgewater because I was impacting people's lives. But that wouldn't have been possible if it weren't for puzzle piece number 1 and puzzle piece number 2. So puzzle piece 3 was that my efforts can make a change. And I say it to all of you, all of your efforts can make a change, but it's up to you to get up and get involved. So through my RA job, I got a stipend. Not a big stipend, but you know, it helped me pay for my study tour to Morocco in the summer of 2014. Amazing experience, and yes, that's the scenery I gave you at the beginning. The experience was absolutely amazing, and I can most definitely say this was the experience that shaped my transition forever. When you go abroad, you're forced to see things differently because you're taken from a scenario which you're used to and you're comfortable with, and when you go to another country, you're forced to test the differences, and you make all these cross-cultural comparisons that make you really question who you are. And this guy right here, Hussam, he changed my life. He stayed up with me till 3 a.m. and he asked me, are you who you are because that's who you want to be? Or are you who you are because society wants you to be who you are? And I'm like, what? What you mean? I came back and I looked like this chick. I was like, how dare you insult me like that? start to question, who the heck am I? What the heck is my purpose? Am I really living a life of purpose? Maybe Hussam was right. So I started the journey of finding who my authentic self was. I genuinely wanted to know who Asmaris was, and I wanted to know that I was doing things because I genuinely wanted to do them, and not because my life experiences, society, the media were shaping me. And that truly shaped puzzle piece number 4. Oh, all right. So I started this journey of finding who my authentic self was. I wanted to know what the heck is my purpose. I'm at Bridgewater, I'm spending thousands of dollars, and I don't even know what the heck I want to do with my life. So that summer I truly reflected on my experience and I started to question, Asmaris, what do you want to do with your life? What do you feel like is your purpose on this world? And I can most certainly say that I always felt like my purpose was to be a superhero. I always felt like I had to save the world. As you can see, because I was like, oh my God, I want to be an army to help everyone. So the next step for me was, how am I going to do that? So I had this idea after that summer that, oh my God, I have to save the world. How am I going to do this? Because I feel like that's my purpose. But as we all know, one person cannot save the world. So I had this next experience, which helped me a lot. I went on a service trip to Florida, where I learned about undocumented immigrants and the struggles they face. That was another experience that truly helped shape my perspectives, but it wasn't what I experienced in the farm, and it wasn't what I experienced with the undocumented immigrants. It was this one lady. She spoke with so much passion. She looked me dead in the face. Well, she looked the whole group dead in the face, and she said, you need to stop thinking that you can save the world by yourself. Because at the end of the day, not one person can do that. But what we can do is individually find our purpose, our passion, and our gifts, and play the part of the puzzle. Because if I play my part, and the person next to me plays their part, and the person next to me plays on this side plays their part, sorry. At the end of the day, we end up connecting like a puzzle. And we do start to shape things. Even if what we do is small or large, we all play a part of the puzzle. So I just want to let you guys know that if you get involved on campus, you will start to realize who you are. And you will start to find your passion. And a lot of people graduate with degrees and make thousands of dollars, but they end up going back to grad school to do what they really care about because they ended up just doing it for the money. But if you do something that you're passionate about, you get to graduate with a passion and the money and the degree. So, which one is better? I'll let you guys decide. Please get involved and please find your passion. Thank you.